All right, good afternoon, y'all. Hope you are doing well. Sorry that I couldn't be here today. I've got a doctor's appointment that I've got to go to, but I'll be back tomorrow. Okay, so I'm giving you back your papers from yesterday that were just some practice with multiplying. Really, it was a cumulative practice of everything we've done so far. 1 through 4, we're just adding. So the way I usually like to write this is stack up the 2x squared plus 4x plus 1 and 3x squared plus 4x minus 3 and add those all together. 2x squared and 3x squared, 2 plus 3 makes 5x squared. 4x and 4x add to 8x. 1 and negative 3 add to negative 2. So your answer is 5x squared plus 8x minus 2, which is C. Number 2, we've got 4x squared minus 9x plus 8 and 2x squared minus 8x plus 1 that we're adding together. 4x squared and 2x squared add to 6x squared. Negative 9x and negative 8x add to negative 17x. 8 and 1 add to 9. So your answer is 6x squared minus 17x plus 9. That is A. Okay. Number 3, 5x squared minus 3x minus 8 and x squared plus 9x plus 8. Now, another way that you can do this, it's not my preferred way, but it is definitely a little bit quicker, is to just combine like terms. So we've got 5x squared and x squared. Those add to 6x squared. We've got negative 3x and negative 9x. Those add to negative 12x. We've got negative 8, and we've got 8, which cancel out. Negative 8 and positive 8 add to 0. So we're stuck with 6x squared minus 12x. That is E. Now again, doing it that way, perfectly fine. Number 4, we've got 8x squared and 1x squared. That's going to add to 9x squared. We've got negative 1x and positive 1x that are again going to cancel out. And we've got 5 and we've got negative 3. 5 and negative 3 add to 2. If you want to do it that way, that is totally fine. That gives you the answer B. I do think it just makes it a little bit harder to do the subtraction questions like 5 through 8. So I'm going to give you a second to get caught up. Okay. 5 through 8. For these 4, we are subtracting. Make sure you're paying attention to the sign between those polynomials. I like to stack these up, especially for subtraction questions, because I've got to subtract each of these pieces from their corresponding like term. So, 3x squared minus 4x plus 5 minus x squared plus 5x minus 3. We're going to subtract 3x squared minus x squared, negative 4x minus 5x, and 5 minus negative 3. Now 3x squared minus 1x squared makes 2x squared. Negative 4x minus 5x is negative 9x. Be careful, 5 minus negative 3 Whenever you subtract a negative, you just add. 5 plus 3 is 8. So your answer is 2x squared minus 9x plus 8, which is G. Let's try that again. Number 6, 4x squared minus 10x plus 3 minus 2x squared minus 3x minus 5. We're going to say 4x squared minus 2x squared, negative 10x minus negative 3x, and 3 minus negative 5. 4x squared minus 2x squared is 2x squared. Careful on these signs. Negative 10x minus negative 3x. Well, a double negative means you add. Negative 10 plus 3 is negative 7x. Then, again, 3 minus negative 5 becomes 3 plus 5, which is 8. So I'm looking for 2x squared minus 7x plus 8, which is option I. Now, if you're one of those people that likes to just look at like terms, you got to be really careful here. 5x squared and 9x squared are like terms. 5x squared minus 9x squared is negative 4x squared. 5x and 9x are like terms. 5 minus 9 is negative 4x. 3 and negative 4 are like terms. 3 minus negative 4 becomes 3 plus 4 is 7. So it's not as simple as just combining them. You've got to say this minus that, this minus that, this minus that. 4x squared minus 4x plus 7 gives you k. Let's try that again. We've got x squared minus 5x squared. 1 minus 5 is negative 4x squared. We've got negative 3x and 2x. Negative 3 minus 2 is negative 5x. We've got negative 6 and negative 6. Negative 6 minus negative 6. We've got negatives all over the place. Whenever you take something and subtract itself, those do cancel out. Negative 6 minus negative 6 is the same thing as negative 6 plus 6, adds to 0. So your answer is L. I'll give you a second to get caught up. Okay. On the back, 9 through 12 are the distributive property with just a coefficient that we're distributing. This means that we're going to take 5 and multiply it to the 2x squared, to the 5x, and to the negative 3. And all that does for us is takes this 5 and multiplies 2 times 5, 5 times 5, and negative 3 times 5. Nothing about the x's change until you start distributing a variable that's got an exponent as well. So 5 times 2 is 10, so 5 times 2x squared is 10x squared. 5 times 5, let me draw my little lines here. 5 times 5 is 25, so 5 times 5x is 25x. Then distribute 5 times negative 3. 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. Notice that the x squared and the x and the fact that this one didn't have an x carry on down because we were not distributing a variable, just 5. Let's see, 10x squared plus 25x minus 15, that is option O. Number 10, 6 times 3x squared. Well, 6 times 3 is 18x squared. 6 times negative 3 is negative 18x. And 6 times negative 5 is negative 30. So 18x squared minus 18x minus 30 is option P. 2 times 9x squared is going to be 18x squared. 2 times 5x is 10x. And 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. 18x squared plus 10x minus 8, that is option Q. And finally, 5 times 5x squared is 25x squared. 5 times 2x is 10x. And 5 times negative 6 is negative 30. So 25x squared plus 10x minus 30 is option M. So again, if you're just distributing a coefficient like 2 or just 5 or just 6, none of the variables and none of the exponents change. However, for these last 4, you're distributing both a coefficient and a variable. When that's the case, that 8, when you distribute it, you're going to multiply 3 times 8 and 2 times 8 and 1 times 8. But that x squared times x squared, you're going to add 2 plus 2. X squared times 2x to the first power, you're going to add 1 plus 2. This 1 doesn't have a variable to multiply x squared times x to the, there's no x here. Since there's no x's, you just add 2 to nothing. So taking this piece by piece, 8x squared times 3x squared. 8 times 3 is 24. X squared times x squared, you add those exponents to get x to the 4th. Start over. 8 times 2 is 16. X squared times x to the first, add 2 plus 1 to get 3. Multiply 8x squared times 1. 8 times 1 is 8. X squared doesn't have any other x's to add their exponents with, so it's just x squared. Your answer is 24x to the 4th power plus 16x to the 3rd power plus 8x squared. That is option T. Okay, let's try that again. We're multiplying 6x times 4x squared times 5x times 3. So we're going to take this 6 and multiply every coefficient by 6. At the same time, we're going to take the exponent, which isn't even written here. It's an exponent of 1, and add 2 plus 1, add 1 plus 1, and since there's no x's here to add to, 0 plus 1. Let's take that piece by piece. 6x times 4x squared. The coefficient 6 times the coefficient 4 is 24. For the x's, x to the first times x to the second, add those exponents, 1 plus 2 gives you x to the 3rd. Then 6x times 5x. Coefficient 6 times coefficient 5 gives you 30. x to the first times x to the first, add those ones to get x to the second. Finally, 6x times negative 3. 6 times negative 3 is negative 18. X to the first doesn't have any other x's to add their exponents with, so you just call it x to the first power, or just x. So 24x cubed plus 30x squared minus 18x, that is option V. Two more. 2x cubed times 12x squared. 2 times 12 is 24. Add the exponents. 3 plus 2 is 5. Distribute 2x cubed times x. 2 times 1 is 2. X cubed times x to the first power. 3 plus 1 is 4. Then distribute one last time. 2x cubed times 1. 2 times 1 is 2. X cubed doesn't have any other x's to multiply with on this last term, so it's just x cubed. Another thing you'll notice is that, like in the polynomial here, you had a power of 2, a power of 1, and then no power at all. Well, if all of those are going up by 3, they're still descending from 5 to 4 to 3 instead of 2 to 1 to none. So 24x to the 5th plus 2x to the 4th plus 2x cubed, that is option W. And finally, 4x squared times 6x cubed. 4 times 6 is yet again 24. X squared times x cubed. 2 plus 3 adds to 5. 4 times 12 is 48. X squared times x to the first power adds to x to the third power. Then 4 times 9 is 36. X squared doesn't have any other x's to go with, so just bring that x squared on over. 24x squared plus 48x cubed, 24x to the 5th plus 48x cubed plus 36x squared is option U. Okay, hang on to this paper. Go ahead and put it in your binder, please. Just put it behind yesterday's notes. If you have any questions on this paper, just let me know. You can sign up for my Flex or just try to find a time to talk to me during class whenever I'm back. From here, you have an assignment that is linked on your Canvas page. So what I'm going to need you to do is hop on a computer and go to your Canvas to look for that assignment. Everybody needs to do this assignment. No sharing computers, none of that. If you would like to work together, you are welcome to do so, but you should not be trading computers and having one person do your work on your computer. You are responsible for being able to do this. Even if you have someone else do this and you end up with a good grade for today, it's going to come back and bite you in the butt the next time that we do this and you're not able to do it by yourself. So challenge yourself to be able to do it yourself. Also, please make sure you are good for your substitute. I want to get good notes back. And y'all have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll see you tomorrow.